And welcome back to the Profile Pod. I'm your host, Double A, back for another spectacular episode. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, wherever you're tuning in from. If you're on the audio platforms, thank you. If you're on the video platforms, thank you also. And again, it's always a pleasure being here on the pod. We have another outstanding guest on standing by here. And before we get to our guest, I always want to remind everybody to subscribe on YouTube. If you like what we do here, if you appreciate the content, the guests, the podcast, the host, then show support by subscribing to the Profile Pod on YouTube. That's one small yet so significant way to show support. So subscribe, leave a rate and review on Apple Podcasts, follow me on Instagram, all that good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I love interacting with the audience, with the followers, with the viewers. Without you guys, there is no show. So I'm always looking for feedback, always looking for input. So don't forget to do that. And also don't forget about Social Nostra. It's a network of talented creators and podcasters now available on Roku TV, YouTube, all the platforms. So there's something for everyone on Social Nostra. So check us out, give us a follow on there. So yeah, once again, it's always a blast being here. And like I say every week, man, this is a podcast where we bring on individuals who are doing extraordinary things in life to inspire others, to inspire the human spirit. And tonight we have a young lady who's doing just that. And if she wasn't, she wouldn't be on this podcast. So that's just the bottom line. And that goes for anybody. You know, if you want to be on this episode, on this podcast, and be on an episode, then you got to be doing that. You got to be inspiring others. You got to be going above and beyond and just doing things that are inspirational. So this young lady, our guest, is out of the 805 Ventura County. She has her own business. She started her own marketplace, her own pop-up in Ventura, the city of Ventura, and she's just doing a lot of big things. And she's a prime example of the type of guest that I like to bring on this podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome the owner-operator of J.D.A.S and owner-operator of Portside Ventura Harbor Market, Sarah Morales. How are you, Sarah? Welcome.
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, Sarah. Thank you so much for taking the time for being here this evening with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
No, of course, Sarah. We recently have been kind of working together and at your pop-up events, and yeah, I'm glad we can finally get to bring you on for a full-length episode sooner than later, right? I know we had scheduled for a little later, but I'm glad we were able to get you in here sooner.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, no doubt. It's Sarah. You come from you're from the 805 originally, yes. Right? Oxnard.
Yes.
And you're an entrepreneur. And how's everything going on for you? Before we get into everything, I'd just like to check in with my guests. You know, at the onset here. How have you been? How's everything going?
Everything going good. Just getting prepared for our next market, which is on April 9th, and then I'm also just trying to promote my business, J.D.A.S, and just participating in any market that comes up that I can.
Excellent. Yeah. And J.D.A.S, for those who don't know, J.D.A.S, just delicious ass sweets.
Yeah.
I got that correct, right?
Yes.
Yeah. J.D.A.S, aka J.D.A.S, and you run it with your husband. Shout out to your husband.
Shout out to my husband.
Yeah. And how long have you guys had J.D.A.S?
So I originally launched my first business, which was baking. It was called something else in May of 2017. And it just grew. And in the meantime of me doing that, I started hosting events. And so it was kind of a name that was just thrown my way, and I kind of just went with it. But it didn't feel like it was meaningful to me. It was just a name. And so during quarantine, you know, me and my husband, he helps me with a lot of my business. He's kind of like, you know, the background help, but a lot of people don't really know he helps me out with everything. And so one day we were just sitting there and I'm like, I need a new name. I need something that means something to me, not just, a name we just picked out. And so we were working with our initials, my initials, and our kids. And that's how we picked J.D.A.S. So Jax, the J, that's my son, Daniel, my husband, Angie, my daughter, and Sarah, me. So yeah, that's what we came up with. During quarantine, we had a lot of time on our hands. So
we all did, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so J.D.A.S. Okay, and and then Just Delicious Ass Sweets is the kind of the nickname to it.
Yeah.
But that works too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love your baked goods. They're delicious. I got the opportunity to taste one there at the last, I think, a while back I think it was the Simi Valley event.
Yes.
And yeah. What was the previous, if you don't mind mentioning, when you first launched it, what was it called?
Simply Sweets.
Simply Sweets. Okay.
And I just felt like it just didn't fit like what I did. I don't know. It just didn't, when you feel it, you feel it. And I just didn't put with Simply Sweets. And I was like really scared changing the name because a lot of people just knew me as Simply Sweets. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're changing your name. And I don't like how it rolls off my tongue. And I'm like, well, you're not supposed to like it. It's for me. So but I love it. I get people who read my business name and I either get that's a great name or a frown. So it's not for everybody, and that's okay. It's for me, what works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's important, right? The title of your business has to be heartfelt for the owner, for the the person running the business.
Yes.
But yeah, right. I get it. I totally get it. When I was starting, well, it's still I still have Profile Pod TV there, as you can see, but I've since kind of tweaked the name a little bit. Now it's the Profile Pod, and yeah, it's just it's just gotta you just gotta be able to feel it, man. It's right. And to those who don't have never experienced that, yeah, it's got to be. I mean, and we all experience that in some way or another. And if we're not feeling something, obviously we have to make an adjustment, right, to whatever it is. If you're running a business, if you're naming your kid or whatever, it's got to be meaningful to you. It's got to be heartfelt. And when did you start when did you launch that? I'm sorry, you said during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, so I want to say around, God, I don't even remember. So it's been about a year in February that I launched J.D.A.S.
Okay, but you were already in business prior to that with Simply.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah, no doubt. Well, have you always been an entrepreneur? Have you always had that entrepreneurial spirit, Sarah?
Yeah, I worked in property management for a long time. My husband's in property management, so I was like, oh, okay, we'll do it together. But I don't do well working for other people. Like I just work better for myself. I started baking because it's something I love to do. I didn't go to school for it. It's just, I started with the boxes, and I just remember being little and my dad, he would bake cupcakes for my classes. So that's kind of where it started for me. Unfortunately, he hurt his back. He was in a National Guard, and then after that, he hurt his back, so he couldn't work. So my mom was a provider for us, and she worked, and my dad did everything with me and my sister. He was basically our mom. And so he would bake the cupcakes for my classes. And, I just remember he would be like, come on, Mija, let's bake some cupcakes for class. And he let me help him. And, it just like that, it just stayed in my mind. And I just always loved to bake. And then one day my husband was like, why don't you, it was in 2013 and we were living in Marina Del Rey. And he was like, why don't you do something with this? And I was like, well, I don't know if people are going to like my cupcakes. He's like, you won't know until you try. So then I slowly started doing it, and I didn't have a name then. I was still just, making a cupcake here and there for people. And then it slowly turned into something. And then, so I was like, okay, I'm pumped. I'm ready for it. And at this time we moved to Montclair because, we moved around a lot because of his job. And so we moved to Montclair, and I really started doing it. well, then I got pregnant with my son, Jax. And I was diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarium. You'll start to notice that I start posting a lot about that. It's a really bad disease that women get when they're pregnant. So I wasn't able to keep food down. I had to have, a PICC lined and IVs. It was really bad. Like, we were in the hospital a couple times. Like, your body is basically just like turning against the baby and just wanting it out. So it was, I was on bed rest and I couldn't do anything. So I was super sick, and I'm blessed, it was a very hard pregnancy for me, and I'm blessed to have such a healthy, son. And so after that, I'm like, what am I going to do now? I have my son. I can't go back to work. I want to stay home with him. And I was fortunate enough to be able to stay home with my son. I didn't have to go to work, which was great. Thank you to my husband for, because a lot of times women have to go back to work, and I was just so fortunate enough to stay home with him. And so I stayed home and I started doing all this research, like, how do I bake? How do I do this? And at that time we were still moving around. We moved to Hollywood, then we moved to Sherman Oaks. And from Sherman Oaks, I'm like, all right, he's like 6 months old. I got to make this happen. So I started with croissants and I nailed it. Croissants take 2 days to make. And I was amazed, like, wow, these are really good. Like, I'm a self-taught baker, and a lot of people give up because it gets really hard. And, I'm still trying to raise my son and just figure myself now as a mother, as a wife, and trying to be this person that I wanted to be. I wanted to own my own business and be able to stay home with my son. And so it took a while for me to figure out where everything was going to, go with that. We moved back to Oxnard. And so all this happened within like a year, because we moved back to Oxnard when my son was 11 months old. Wow. And so we finally planted our roots here, and I was like, all right, I'm going to make it happen. But it took me longer than I wanted to. So in 2017, I sat down with one of my aunts, and she helped me a lot getting everything started. And I said, you know what? I want to make something. I want to do it. I don't want to just talk, because you could talk, but you need an action plan. And she's like, all right, what's your next steps? And from there, I just started baking and, trying. I wasn't really on Instagram a lot with it. I'm not a photographer. So if you go back to my Instagram, to the first pictures, those pictures are horrible, but I will not delete them because it's how I started, and I can't believe I have some of those pictures, but
I gotta see.
I just did what I could, and my aunt suggested, why don't you have like a couple of vendors in your backyard and promote yourself while you're promoting them? And it's like, nobody's gonna come to my backyard. She's like, you won't know until you try. So I don't know how, but I got 6 vendors to participate in my first event ever, and it was at my dad's house. Thank you, Dad. Wow. And I had 6 vendors, and not many people came. I had a couple friends, couple family members come, and that was it. And my dad was like, Mija, you got something going here. Like, let's have another one. And he's like, I'm gonna sell tri-tip sandwiches, and we'll have food for everybody. And I said, okay. And so we started doing them every 6 months in the backyard. In the meantime, I'm, just meeting these new vendors, reaching out to random people. They were looking at me like I was crazy at first. Like, we're not going to go to your backyard, girl. Like, and I'm like, no, there's going to be other vendors there. Like, it's going to be a great thing. And they would come and they're like, wow, this is pretty awesome. So it just grew. And every 6 months I was having them. And then I got to 14 vendors in my backyard. And
wow.
Like, the connections I have with some of those vendors I still work with today. And that bond between us is like no other, because they started with me. And it's amazing to see where I've grown, where they've grown, and, the markets that we're in. And it's so awesome. So in the midst of all that, I'm just still promoting my cupcakes. And then I was just like, I'm just going to do cupcakes. That's it. And I brought cookies on, and then I brought cake pops on. And then, little by little, I started to learn how to, a specific technique that I didn't know before. Like, cake pops are really hard to do. And I'm still not at the point where I would love to be at, but slowly getting there each day, learning new techniques. So it's been an awesome experience. And just with my business, it's just growing and growing. And I'm so thankful for that. And yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. And then you always hear like, people for whatever reason, they have that itch, they want to do it, they want to, they have that desire that, but they just lack that first step, taking action, taking action. You said, hey, what the hell? Let's just do it in the backyard. So what, right? So you took that step, you took action, and I think that was the spark right there. I think, right? I mean, that was, you realize, oh, okay, yeah, we could do this. I mean, I think that's just a lot of people just, you always hear about fear and for whatever reason, right? But yet you overcame that or whatever, and you said, let's do it. And look at you now. I mean, you just never know how things are going to evolve, how things are going to grow. And, talk about a little bit, Sarah, about how, some of the challenges you've had to overcome when it comes to actually baking your goods. Okay. Like you said, baking is not easy. Croissants take 2 days to make, as you said. And so what were some of those trials and trial and error processes, early on? Can you talk about maybe a couple of them, getting the recipes down, the flavors down, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, people have different, like, I think a lot of people are used to like basic taste. So when I would try something, they're like, oh, I don't like the way it tastes. Oh, it tastes a little like that. So, and then I was kind of just like, I gotta make everybody happy. Let me just try to make a specific flavor. My husband's like, no, like, you do your thing. You're not gonna please everybody, and that's okay. Like, your baked goods are not for everybody. They're gonna have a specific taste for specific things, and that's fine. So there's been a lot of trial and error with baking. There's been things I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna knock it out of the park, and then I make it. I'm like, oh, this is horrible. So I just gotta learn I'm my biggest critic, and I'm the hardest on myself when it comes to baking and just trying new things. I don't really advertise cakes, just because I'm not confident enough to make that, but I get asked so much to like, oh, can you make me a sheet cake? And I'm like, and I'm very honest. I said, I'm not there yet. So you can get a couple cupcakes or you can get, a naked cake. I love naked cakes, basic. But that's something this year that I really want to focus on. But I just don't want to take away, because once you start promoting cakes, it takes away, like, people will stop ordering all your little stuff. They'll just want cakes. And I really love specializing in like the small treats, so like cupcakes, brownies, cake pops, Rice Krispie treats. I feel like a lot of people, they do all these beautiful cakes, but they don't really do a lot of like the little things. And I love the little things. Like, those are what get me when I go to a party. I'm not worried about the cake. I'm worried about like, oh, those little treats over there. So it is just day by day with baking. And I have made some cakes in the past, and I've had this one person just not like the cake, and instead of telling me directly, and it just went south with it. And for a while, I just shut down. I just didn't want to bake. I didn't want to do anything. I'm like, oh my God, she hated the cake. But not only that, she blasted me on social media because she didn't like the cake. And yeah, it was just, I felt defeated. And my husband's like, no, like, he's a really big supporter with me and my business. He tells me like it is when I don't want to hear it, which is great. I call him my bubble burster, because I'm like, I have this idea. And he's like, pop, 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 pop. He likes to put the realistic stuff on me that I don't want to hear, that I don't think about. And so he was like, babe, it happens, And so I felt defeated. It wasn't like I gave her a raw cake. She just, for some reason, after she took it home, didn't like it after all. And, you just gotta learn to be able to take that and grow from it. And I took that, and it took me down for a few months. And then, I just was like, I can't do this. This is what I'm going to do. And I need to learn to take the criticism along with, everything else that comes along with owning a business. And from there, I was just like, you know what, I'll just stand strong and continue to move forward.
Yeah, you definitely got to have thick skin, right? Being
Yes.
definitely being an entrepreneur, especially when you're dealing with food. Um, people are gonna, yeah, they're gonna have their own opinions, and they're gonna, unfortunately, some, they take it maybe a little too far, and um, but it's inevitable. That's stuff like that's gonna happen,
Yeah.
unfortunately, right? What about as you were? Oh my goodness, I lost my train of thought, Sarah. I was gonna ask you what you. Oh my goodness. Uh, goodness. We talked about your challenges,
Yes.
right? And I know what I was going to ask you. When it comes to baked goods and sweets, desserts, stuff like that, what is it about, and I have a sweet tooth. I'm terrible. I overdo it, and I love donuts. I love anything sweet, cereal, cupcakes, Twinkies. I mean, you name it. What is it about the desserts, though, Sarah? What do you think it is that just really gets people gets people? Why do they fall in love with sweets? What do you think it is?
I personally love to have I have coffee at night. Me and my husband have coffee before bed majority of the night, and we love to have sweets with it. That's our time when we put our son to bed. We just sit there and we have our treats. I feel like sometimes it's like, depending on what kind of mood you're in, you can make anybody happy with a cupcake when they're feeling down, or brownie cookies. Like, I love to give people sweets when they're feeling down. It always cheers people up. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the sugar, the deliciousness. I have no clue. But for me, that's my I just love, being able to connect with my husband, like talking about our day and being able to have something sweet to go with our coffee. Like, there's nothing better than that.
Absolutely. I mean, you could dunk your cookies, or the donut, whatever it is. And I like milk. I love eating my sweets with milk.
Yeah.
Ever since I was this big. But yeah, so dessert. Yeah, I think it's the sugar, it's the sweetness, it's just all of that combined.
I feel like it's like a comfort food too.
Absolutely, absolutely. You could be in any mood and enjoy a sweet any time of day. At least I can.
Yeah.
But I'm making a conscious effort to cut back on sugar myself, because anyways. But yeah, I need to cut. I need to lose a few lbs myself. But then nonetheless, I love I love the sweets. I love desserts. I love all of that good stuff, and the baked goods, especially yours. I taste.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You guys, you outdo yourself there, Sarah. You guys were also from the Inland Empire, as am I. Well, I know you're from Oxnard originally. Your husband's from Montclair, correct?
He's from Pomona.
Pomona.
Yeah.
But you guys lived in Montclair,
Yes.
and I just thought that was an interesting little connection there. How we were, back living in the IE. I grew up there. Now we're in the 805 out here, enjoying life. And how do you? Well, you're from Oxnard originally, but
Yes.
I love it out here. I love it out here. I love the ocean breeze. What about you? What is what do you love so much about, other than the fact that you grew up out here? Now you have the port side event, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. How is your business? Is your clientele mainly out here, or is it kind of spread throughout the area, Southern California, or wherever?
Yeah. So majority of my clientele is out here, but I do have people who live like in Azusa. My cousin, she's a really big supporter. She orders from Azusa, and so every time we go out there, my mother-in-law lives in Fontana, so when I come out there, I'm like, hey, I'm coming out there. Would you like to order something? And she's amazing. She always puts in an order. She's always good at advertising me. I do have like my brother-in-law and sister-in-law come down sometimes from Arizona. They'll ask like to order some stuff too. And I also have friends in like Santa Barbara who do order as well. So, I don't want to like, I just want to be everywhere with my baked goods. So we recently did a pop-up in San Dimas. It was in December. And it was amazing connecting with people over there and just, I love hearing people's story and why they're doing what they're doing. And, at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all just small businesses trying to grow and just, make money at the end of the day. And so I love doing pop-ups. I'm trying to do pop-ups more and more out of, Oxnard. I do love Oxnard. I just sort of born and raised. My whole family is here, but it's always great. Just get out of your comfort zone and just go over there. I was like, what am I going to do? Nobody's going to know me. Nobody's going to order, buy anything from me. And I did really well over there. And so, I want to go back over there and do another pop-up in San Dimas.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing I haven't done is gone back home, to my area there and done, done an event or anything, just been networking out here in this area and in LA. But yeah, it's always fun to go back home and check out the scene out there. There's so much going on. What and speaking of you mentioned stepping out of your comfort zone and stuff like that. What advice do you have, Sarah, for someone who's just kind of thinking about, they're kicking around an idea, they have a passion for something, they want to start a business. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but what would you tell that person? Just to what's that bit of advice that to motivate them to do what they want to do?
I would just say just to do it. There's no time but now. Like, do it now. You have to be your own cheerleader. You think you're gonna have lots of support and you're not going to, and that's okay. Just write down your goals and have action plans for your goals. Follow through with your goals. We all have goals, but do we ever follow through with them? Half of the time, no. But if you write like your follow through actions, like you're gonna go somewhere. Just you won't know until you try. And a lot of times you're gonna fail, but keep going. It's not easy. Every day I'm like, what am I doing? But I love this. I'm so passionate what I do, and to meet other people and I just really love what I do. And I just go. Don't
just jump. It's that simple, right?
Yeah.
It's that simple. It's just do it. Just like again, that Nike slogan, right? Just do it. Just get up and do it. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think when you actually write it down, like you said, you write down your goals and then you write down an action plan. That's when it really becomes, real, because you put pen to paper. Now the idea, the thought, the idea, the goal has a home, on a sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And then that's, that's how things start to move and progress. But yeah, no, it's a great story, sir. That how far you've come, and so let's kind of move into the port side event now. So you mentioned how you started a pop-up, six vendors in your backyard. Things went you moved forward, it grew to 14 vendors, I think it was. When did you kind of launch the port side thing? Were you doing how long have you doing pop-ups, first of all, and then talk about that progression into port side a little bit?
So I've been doing the pop-up since 2017. And then I was doing my backyard ones for about, I want to say 2 years. And then in 2019, I started, I had my first official one at Seabridge. So it was an apartment complex right off by Yolanda's, Victoria. And I had 32 vendors. And I was like, whoa, this is like, this is
Wow.
something. So, and I was just getting ready to go, and then COVID hit. But in the meantime, I started seeing like there's these pop-ups were just everywhere now. They were like at every corner. And I was like, what? Like, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of that. But I was in the middle of, changing my name for my business name and just being legit. Because before I was, baking, but I wasn't, I didn't have the paperwork that I should have had. Because it takes longer when you're selling food out of your home. So I just didn't want to step on anybody's toes until I was, I had all the paperwork needed. So I got my name, I got my fictitious name, for J.D.A.S, and then I started with the health department, and then I got that done, and then I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. So then I hosted another event at the Moose Lodge. My dad's a member there, so he got me in. And there I had 35 vendors, and then we had a little car show. Shout out to Certified Mopar because they were participating in it. They're awesome. It's a car club. My husband's, he's a part of the car club. Awesome. So they were there, and, I wasn't too sure how it was going to turn out, but we had a really good turnout. And I just, from there, the ideas were like, there's so much potential. And so, me and my husband, we were like trying to figure out like our next spot. So we got in touch with Portside. I went and presented, my market to them, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. We've been wanting to do it. And so Portside happened, and I wasn't too sure what our first event was going to be like. We collabed with Trendy Eats on that one, and I was just shocked on how big it was. And I wasn't ready for that. I was ready for like my 15er, event. And I was just blown away, like all this hard work for years that I've done, and to have it be so successful, I was just blown away. I was just caught off guard. I had every emotion. And then, we had, so that was our first one in July. And then we did September, we did October, and then we did December. And they were all really good. So it's rare when you have a market and multiple vendors sell out. You really never, a couple vendors will sell out, but when you get like the craft vendors sell out, that's where like this is going to be something. So it wasn't just the food vendor selling out, it was the craft vendor selling out as well. Wow. And it was just amazing seeing all these people so passionate at what they do, and everybody's setting up. Like, you really have to just take it all in. It's been amazing. I'm so blessed with that opportunity that I have, and with Katie, she's the manager there. She's who I kind of, they hired us to host this market there, and she's been amazing. Wow. Thank you, Katie, for giving me the opportunity. I'm super blessed.
Shout out to Katie.
She's been helping me with, everything there, and it's been amazing. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all. Yeah, and I think the last one, how many vendors were signed up for that one?
We had 85 vendors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
From like 6 to 14 to 30 to 35 to the most vendors we had there was like 104. So there's potential there, growing so big, and just having that community of vendors, it's amazing.
No doubt about it. No doubt. Looking forward to the next one. Yeah, April 9th.
Yes.
At the port side of Ventura Harbor. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the area, do not miss that event. And I think that's an amazing site there, Sarah. I mean, it's right on the water. Oh, you can't ask for more than that. I mean, it's just beautiful. The sun is shining. It's right there, and it's just blue, and then the water, and just, I mean, I was like blown away at that site. What kind of plans? I mean, have you guys thought about, you know, how where how else how you want to continue to evolve and progress is, I mean, do you have can you tell us about any other upcoming goals, and how big you want to take it, what other things you got going on, or plans that you maybe can give us a glimpse into?
My goal is to be able to host an event at the Ventura County Fairgrounds. So slowly but surely, I feel like I will get there. It's going to take me some time. There's only room for me just to get bigger and bigger. And I'm slowly going to get there. I'm not going to get there tomorrow, but eventually I will. I know I will. And it's just, I love hosting events. It's nothing like putting everything together. Sometimes I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And, I have a 50 to 80 vendors messaging me all at once. And what are we doing here? What are we doing there? And but I love it. There's nothing like the rush of that, there's just something about it. So, Portside is our home for now, but eventually I would like to go into a bigger area and, make it bigger.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. When going back to baking though, Sarah, what is it about baking? I mean, what is it about it just that you just love? I mean, you just it's that one thing that you're just so like in love with about it.
I'm in love with the whole thing of baking. I can't pinpoint it's this or that. I don't know. There's nothing like baking something and then, tasting it and you're like, wow, like I made this. This is edible, first of all, but it's great. I just love the whole concept of baking. I'm learning that it's what's the word that they use, that it's like a scientific experiment. You're dealing with different weights or grams, and you just never know what you're gonna come out with. You might follow the ingredients and the directions to a point, and then you make it and it's something else. So I just love being able to create something great that people love. And
Hmm.
there's nothing like when you bake chocolate chip cookies and you crack one open and it's still warm. Like for me, that's what I think. Like, and it just oozes with chocolate and it's warm. Like,
Yeah,
I can't. It's just, I love it.
absolutely, absolutely. And what's your husband's name again? I'm sorry.
Daniel.
Daniel, that's right, J.D.A.S. But yeah, shout out to Daniel. I've met Daniel a couple times now, and yeah, it looks like you guys have that synergy where, like you mentioned earlier, he's kind of your voice of reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you need to you got to get that other perspective, or that that rational perspective, or whatever the case may be. He's gonna be there to support you and give you that other again, yeah, that other perspective of well, his opinion. And you guys have your own crew, your own staff. As I observed, they're at the event last month or whenever that was. I think it was February. Yeah, was that February? Or
Yes.
yeah, right, right, yeah.
But yeah, February. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
early.
So I do have when it's baking, it's just me. I do all that stuff. But when it comes to my events, I do have a crew. So my husband, Daniel, he's running around making sure everything's going good. I have Dre. He's also running around. Shout out to Dre. Shout out to Tiara. She does help me. That's like the face that helps everybody set up. And then my boss, she's amazing. Stephanie. She owns Made to Eat. So go check that out, guys. She does like salad preps for people and I bake for her. So she helps me check in people.
That's awesome. Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys are organized. You guys got it down. And I was just impressed with everything that you guys do there at the Portside pop up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that next one. Like I said, and I got to meet a lot of people being there the other day. And just so it's always nice to be out there. I enjoy networking, Sarah, on social media and stuff like that. But there's no substitute when you're out there, meeting people face to face, in person, in the flesh. It's
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's for me. That's just there's no alternative to that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love networking on social media, but it's just a different element. It's just a different vibe when you're meeting face to face. Um, what do you have a favorite um, baked good that you make? Or I mean, I'm sure you love all of them, but do you have that one or two that you just like? It's just your go-to.
Yes, it would be the cinnamon rolls or chocolate chip cookies.
Okay.
Yeah, those are
Oh,
my go-to. They're like, oh, can you bring something? Gotcha. I'm gonna bring cinnamon rolls or chocolate chip cookies.
awesome, awesome. And you do cake pops. Do you do brownies?
Yes,
Awesome, awesome.
breads.
Oh, okay, but like banana nut by any chance?
Yes, banana nut, zucchini, cranberry cream cheese, carrot, pumpkin spice. I even do like French bread too.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
man,
so
you don't mess around. You don't mess.
breads are my weakness. I love breads.
Oh, okay. That's your thing, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, and all of this is, I mean, it's hard work, man. That's just impressive, Sarah. Because yeah, I've worked in restaurants. I've worked. I know what it's like to, that is not, you know, for the for the faint of heart. It's just that's real work, man. That's
Yeah. Yeah,
good.
I have long days where, I go to work and then come home and take care of my son, make dinner, and then I gotta hop on orders, especially when we're doing like events. That's like a whole 2-day baking for me. So depending on where the location is, I kind of know now like how much to take to certain locations. But even then, it's a 2-day, I want to say like 12-hour to 14-hour day for me.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure you enjoy your anytime you can get a vacation. But I mean, I know you love what you do, obviously, but it's nice to disconnect and get away a little bit, and you know, um, what. So you have that April 9th event coming up this
Yeah.
year. Are you? I mean, are you booked up throughout the whole year now, or are you kind of book yourself maybe a 2 month, 3 months in advance, or is it the whole calendar year? How do you work that?
So I love to plan things out. I hate doing things last minute. I get made fun of a lot for being very planning out. So I do have markets every other month till December. And I try not to overbook myself. So I don't want to burn myself out. I do hear a lot of people, they go, 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 and then they burn themselves out and they don't want to do it or they get sick. So I'm really just trying to pace myself, but it gets hard when I'm like, I'm not going to bake this weekend, not taking orders. And then somebody texts me or messages me like, hey, can I place an order this weekend? And I can never say no. So especially if I'm here and if I'm going out of town, I can't do it. But if I'm here, like, yeah, and then my husband's like, I thought you weren't gonna bake this weekend. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I couldn't say no. Like, so
Yeah.
I try to give myself my days, but it gets hard. I'm not only working, I'm taking care of home, but I also have the vendors market that I run and then J.D.A.S. So it does get really hard too. So I'm working, one of my goals this year is being organized. So, and that's with every aspect of my business is like everything needs to be more organized.
Mm,
So that's a goal that I must follow through with this year. But yeah, so I just try to plan month by month.
I see. I see. Yeah. Yeah. And so you do have a day job still.
Yes.
You still do. Okay. I see.
Yeah, I do. A lot of people don't realize that I do work during the day. I work at Meet to Eat. It's amazing. And I bake for her there. So it's been a great experience. She's taught me, her name is Stephanie,
Uh-huh.
and she's taught me you meet certain people in your life and you were like, I was meant to meet you for a reason.
Mm.
Like I was meant to. And she's amazing. She's so sweet and she knows her stuff when it comes to food. Any food, she's opening up my palate. I tell her like I hated ranch and the smell of ranch is gross to me. And we make salads and she makes, ranch. And I'm like, I ain't gonna eat that. She's like, yeah, you are gonna love it. I'm like, I ain't gonna eat that. Sure enough, I'm eating it. And I'm like, wow. She's like, this is what real ranch tastes like. And it's amazing.
Oh.
But she teaches me stuff about baking that I didn't know. And I'm learning so much from her. So yes, I do have a day job and then I come home and do everything else and it gets hectic. And she understands me. Like when I went in for my interview, I said, I plan to open up my own shop. And a lot of people, when you tell them, they're like, oh, we don't want you here. I've worked for other places and they're like, oh, you're our competition basically. And I'm like, I just want a job. I need a job, but
Wow.
my son's in private school. I got to pay for that first. Um, with her, she was just like, wow, you want to? That's exciting, And I was like, wow, like I've never met anybody who was just so like for me. She didn't know me. She was just like, that's amazing. I hope you do well, but I want you in the meantime. And so, my goal is to have my own bakery. That's one of my goals. And I will have it and it's going to take me some time, but I just want to be able to have my own and, just be my own boss.
Yeah. So it sounds like that's one of your ultimate goals is to work all of what you're doing now full time during the day, and then make a living off completely on your own. Right. It sounds like that's one of your goals.
Yeah, I want to be able to have J.D.A.S and it just be good for us in my home. Like my goal is for my husband, we've talked about it, like for him to eventually stop property management and he can just come help me with my business and, be able to, our family business, be able to help us with anything we need. And, we don't have to rely on outsourcing income from like other jobs. And it would just be J.D.A.S. Like that would mean the world to me. I always get so teary-eyed when I talk about it because people have lots of goals in life and, majority of the time nobody follows through with them or they get scared or it's this or it's that. And I've had a lot of setbacks, but I really want to be my own boss. I really want to, my daughter, she's 14, she's my stepdaughter, but she's my baby. I want to show her that even though my husband takes care of me, I don't need a man. I can do it myself. We as women, we need backup plans. My husband's amazing. And I've told him this before we've had this conversation, but God forbid something happens to him and it doesn't work out. I need to make sure that I'm okay. Me and my children are okay. And a lot of women get stuck in, we stay home, we cook, we clean, we take care of the kids, and that's it. And it sucks, but that's kind of the world we live in. Oh, you're gonna work? Like sometimes I get like, you work, you do that, you do that. And I'm like, I have 3 jobs. Yes, I do, because I am gonna do it. I am gonna show everybody that I can and I will. It's gonna take me some time, but I will. And I want to show my daughter that I can do it. I do need my husband. I hate saying it like that, but I don't need him. Like I will be okay. And, just meeting other women doing what I'm doing, it's like, they're like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom and this is my side hustle. And I see like so much potential in them, but I feel like they don't have that confidence. I'm like, girl, what do you got to do? What do you want me to do? You need help? What do you need help with? Participate in one of my events. I'll give you a discount. I'll let you do it for free. How can I help you be confident? Sell your product, because, we just need to support each other as women. And a lot of women see each other as competition and it sucks. But that's what we live in, like the world we live in. Everybody sees everybody. Oh, there's so many women who do what I do. And I could have took that and like shut down, like, I'm not going to bake anymore. Sally, Trisha, or whoever else are, baking too. We all have our different styles. her stuff is not going to taste like mine and my stuff's not going to look like hers. There's enough room for all of us. And I wish that every woman knew that we all can grow together. We all just be supportive for one another. So I am also passionate about supporting women in small businesses. I know a lot of amazing women in small businesses, and just, seeing them get their hustle on and grow, it's amazing. It's so awesome. Like I just hosted a couple weekends ago, a small brunch with a few vendors that I've met.
Mm-hmm.
And just talking to them, getting to know them, because we do events all the time, and I know them as their business name. I don't know them personally as,
Yeah.
like they didn't know my name was Sarah. They knew me as J.D.A.S. And it's like being able to sit down and talk, get to know them and see where they're going. It's like we all are not on the same page, but we all can relate some way or another. Like, oh, I was feeling like that last month, girl, this is what I did. Or, hey, this is what I needed to do for marketing, and this might help you. And it's, we all need to be supportive. So I do plan to, I was going to host a women's network, a big one in March, or January, but with everything going on with COVID, it got pushed back to March. And then, so eventually, like, I'm going to, haven't set a date yet, just still trying to figure out that date. Like I want to have a women's network event where women could come if they have a small business, if they don't, if they just want to get away from their kids and their husband, that's fine. I'm all for that too. But just, I want to do little things with one of them and just talk about how we're struggling, how we're so relatable, what we did to overcome, how we're feeling, or just the struggles that we're dealing with on a daily basis, being a mom, a wife, a business owner, or whatever it is. And, just supporting one another.
No doubt, Sarah. You are, I want to thank you for being such a great leader and an inspiration to not just women, but everybody, everybody. And that's what it's all about, Sarah. You totally, you check all the boxes when it comes to, just getting it started, going out there, going after your dreams, and just making it happen. Sometimes it might not be pretty, but you guys keep moving forward, and you're setting the example, Sarah, and good for you. Kudos to you, and I wish you nothing but the utmost success and everything that you're doing with J.D.A.S, with the port side and beyond. And yeah, just keep killing it. Keep killing it.
Yeah.
Of course. I want to before we wrap up, Sarah, tell us where we can find J.D.A.S, all the information on port side, websites, your social media. Go ahead and plug all of that.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm only on Instagram for J.D.A.S. It's J.D.A.S.SM. There you're able to order, to see what pop-up we're doing next. And then the vendors market is just vendors market _ and you're able to see when our next events are. I'm still accepting applications for new vendors. So if you're interested in being a vendor, you can go there. The link is in my bio. And you can kind of see the J.D.A.S and the vendors market are kind of like the same. So whatever's posted on the vendors market will be posted on J.D.A.S and, vice versa. So you can find everything you want on there. You can see what specials I have. I try to promote what I'm doing often, but it gets a little hard. But I'm trying to push these cookies.
No, you're doing a great job, Sarah, and keep it, like I said, keep rocking and rolling. And yeah, thank you again, once again, for taking the time, for sharing a little bit of your story and letting us into your world. And yeah, I'll see you on April 9th. And yeah, once again, thank you for being an inspiration. And I'm going to continue to support you any way I can. And once you come on this platform, and I tell all my guests every week, once you're a guest here, now you're an alumnus, and now we're family. And like I said, I will continue to support and share your content, and just support any way I can. So once again, Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super honored and to be on here. I was really nervous, but I'm stepping out of my comfort zone and other things. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. You were nervous? I couldn't even tell.
I was like, oh man.
You knocked it out of the park. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have Sarah Morales, owner operator of J.D.A.S Suites and the Portside Market in Ventura Harbor. So go give her a follow. Go order from her website or her page, and you, like I said, man, you delicious. If you're a sweets person, you gotta try J.D.A.S. It's a hands down. Gotta do it. Imperative. It's like breathing oxygen. You gotta do it. So, right. For ladies, once again, thank you, Sarah, for being here with us. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, or whatever time you're watching this. Right now it's nighttime for us here on the West Coast, here in California. And but yeah, once again, thank you again so much for tuning in wherever you're tuning in from. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, share content, and all that good stuff. So for Sarah, I'm Double-A, your host. We'll be back next week here on the Profile Pod, and always reminding you to take it easy. Thanks again, Sarah.
Thank you.